All right, we're gonna call the meeting to order at 6:30. We'll start with a roll call. Garth Bean. Angie DeSanto.
Here I am.
Jesse Burnham.
Here.
Judy Austin. Paul Varga.
Here.
Esther Jagosinski. Hugh McKenzie. Christina Davis. All right. We have no alternates. We have a quorum, so we're good there. Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on. Ashford After School Program update. Where do we stand at this point?
Okay,
Actually, hold on one
Christina.
second, Bill. Christina just arrived. So I'm going to seat Christina for Garth.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
evening.
We're just getting started, Christina.
Just an update on the after-school program. Tomorrow is the last full day of registration for the after-school program. Again, you probably are all aware of this, but it's going to be for students between kindergarten and sixth grade. Basically, it's going to be 3:30 in the afternoon till 6. By state standards and regulations, there's a certain amount of students have to be covered by a certain amount of individuals. So we're hiring 3 staff. They will be part-time staff working under 30 hours a week. Our intention is to end up with one leader, sort of director position there, one assistant, and then one helper. And for the leader's position, we're budgeting $25 an hour. And for the assistant's position, $22 an hour. And the assistant, or the helper rather, will be $17 to $19 an hour. With the Board of Selectmen today, interviews were conducted by the superintendent, the principal, one of the selectmen were there. And conducted those about a week and a half ago. We had 3 participants. We're offering positions to 2 people in the role of assistants right now. Because of the newness of the program, no one was comfortable taking the lead position. The school superintendent has agreed to is that she will follow through with the lead position for now until we get set up and get all the policies and everything in place. She's also going to oversee timesheets, and her and I will be managing if there's any personnel problems or whatever. We're actually partnering with the school. I think I mentioned this to a couple of your previous meetings. The school is going to lend us their facility for use. We'll be using the cafeteria primarily, but also the gym occasionally. The superintendent and her assignee, probably the principal, will be a on-site management role right now and overseeing personnel and any personnel issues. The employees will be employees of the town. They're being hired on an hourly basis. There'll be no benefits involved in the package, because they'll all be working. I believe it's 26 and a half hours. We figured out. We're saying 30 or less.
Is that a week or a pay period, Bill?
A week
A week.
for each of the staff members. And we've offered the position today. The Board of Selectmen authorized us offering the positions to 3 individuals. We're looking for a start date of the 5th of September. As I had mentioned prior, the last full day of registration is tomorrow. And then what we're doing, if we get more than 20 applicants, then we will be selecting the participants by lottery. Probably be done up at the school. we're gonna try to get a couple of parents to help pull the lottery. If not, either Cindy or one of us will do that, but we prefer to get somebody other than stakeholders to do that. And we'll see how it goes. We're looking forward to it.
Do they pay for this? I forgot.
They pay, the participants will be paying. It's $100 a week per student. And it will be paid upfront after the initial payment a month in advance. And those funds will subsidize and finance all of the costs associated with this. There'll be no direct cost to the town from our annual budget.
Unless the 20 kids decreases because people aren't.
We've
Liking.
got to break even, Angie, the analysis that we've done, and we had Dave Roston here to go over it a couple months ago. The revenue based on 20 is gonna generate, it's not exact figures, but about 50,000 a year. Our anticipated cost, and I think we sent everybody a draft budget.
Yeah.
Is about 38,000.
Yeah. Okay,
So if we end up with 18 or 17, it's still gonna be paying for
Okay.
itself. Quite honestly, I've been in conversations with a number of towns that have been doing this for years, a couple of towns that just started the past few years. And the initial registration is slow. Once school starts, then they get overwhelmed with. Because most towns like we do, and it's kind of shocking to me, don't have daycare centers available in town certified. We have 2 here in town. We could probably support 6 or 8. But the state requirements for licensing and certifications become so stringent, it's also made it impossible for the people to do that. And, you know, I've had some brief discussions with economic development and see if we can help in any way to attract that, because my recollection, when I was first selectman a number of years, over 30 years ago, we had 5 or 6 daycare centers in town. But again, the cost to run the business has become so high, and the recertification that they discourage people from doing it.
yeah,
So the whole reason we're doing it's not typically a town obligation. But it's because we're convinced of the need that's here in
Yeah.
town to support it.
for sure.
And I've had, you know, occasion to talk to several single parents who are desperate on being able to have something like this, where they have no alternative than to spend maybe $200 or $300 a week in a private daycare center. That kind of makes their working during the daytime useless, so
Yeah.
it's difficult, so. What we're looking for the board tonight is authorization to set up a separate fund. We'll probably be calling it an activity fund, but the auditors asked us to get approval from the board, recommended we get approval from the Board of Finance to set up a fund similar to that sample that our finance department brought up. It will consist of revenues and expenditures or disbursements. The disbursements will be generated by the tuition that's paid in, and it'll be a revolving sort of an account. Something else that we're doing, just as a side note, I don't want to put all of our eggs in that basket, but there are a couple of towns that have been successful in applying to the state, either subsidize or pay these costs. So I know the superintendent has been in discussions with the State Board of Ed, and we're looking into that. And if we can relieve those parents of either partial of that $100 a week per student or more, that's what our goal is. Frankly, I've been asked by some parents why we're only starting at 20. And the answer to this is that it's a complicated situation. There's an awful lot of responsibility in taking care of children in town for that, even a small amount of time. Which is another reason why doing it at the school appeals to me. But what we're gonna do is on a quarterly basis minimum, we'll reevaluate. If it turns out the need and things are going smooth and the system can afford to expand, we may do that too, but we're gonna start small, walk first before we run and see how it goes. The only other thing, and I don't know if we need it, but it seems to me, the last time we set up a fund, you needed a minimum amount of money because you needed a monetary amount for the fund. I would like also authorization from the Board of Finance, for the Board of Selectmen, out of one of our line items, probably the salary line item, to contribute a small amount of money, if that's needed by the auditors for that fund. So basically, we're looking for two motions from the board. One would be to authorize the Board of Selectmen and the town treasurer to set up a separate fund for the Ashford after-school program. That would include line items for revenues and expenditures. And then another one, if it's needed, verifying that the Board of Selectmen is authorized to transfer money into that fund on a temporary basis, if the need arises. Be glad to answer any questions or anything that anybody may have.
Insurance, is that baked into the cost?
It's all covered. It's one of the first things that we were concerned about. It's all covered through KERMA. Both the existing insurance at the school as well as the town's insurance.
Excuse me, you said it's all covered by CIRMA?
KERMA.
What?
KERMA is our liability.
What, could
insurance.
you spell that? I can,
CIRMA.
okay. Okay,
It's, I don't remember the name. I was on the board of directors too. But it's, community.
I'll look it up, don't worry.
Okay.
That's right,
It's
Carl.
through CCM.
Okay.
KERMA.
Will that cost the town more money for insurance?
No.
For the three people?
No, we have 24-hour umbrella coverage, both at the school and for the town employees, so we're covered on that.
Right, and you said you had a lead, an assistant, and a helper. And what positions have you hired so far?
I'm sorry,
You've designed it for one lead, one assistant, and one helper.
right,
Which of those positions have been hired so far?
we're gonna have 2 assistants
Okay,
and 1 helper.
They've been employed. They've been
We just
chosen.
authorized their employment, they've been interviewed, they've been vetted. One of them is an existing paraprofessional at the school. It's
That's
got
great.
already all of the training. We've also, at the end of the month, school for their new teachers coming on are doing CPR and all the other training that's needed. So these people will be joining them for that. So by the time the program starts on the 5th, we'll have all of the training and everything all completed. Let me just back, one of the people is relocating. She was born in Ashford, but right now she's in South Carolina. So her CPR training will be done in North Carolina. The certification is transferable to us, so.
Yeah.
so there's still no lead. So is one of those 2 assistants going to become the lead?
That's our intention.
Okay,
But first, it'll be the superintendent that will take.
The
the lead.
overseeing, that taking the lead position.
Yeah, I kind of had the same question. I think you just answered it though. So, because you said Cindy was gonna be overseeing it, but I didn't understand it. So now, basically, the plan is that one of those assistants would eventually move into the lead, but because it's such a new program,
They were both reelected,
Right.
so.
how many hours a day is this program gonna be?
Well,
30 to 6.
the program itself is 3:30 to 6 o'clock.
Okay.
We're assuming we're gonna bring the people in a half hour before we get set up.
Right,
And,
Okay.
and we'll play it by ear, probably a half hour afterwards.
so like a 3.5 hour day.
Yeah. We're leaving ourselves some room there for flexibility. You know, the natural things that, when we were debating this and trying to go over it in our minds and anticipating, you know, that you're always gonna have a parent that works in Hartford and their car breaks down, or there's an emergency, is how we're gonna be handling children that aren't picked up, similar to what goes on at the school right now. And again, that's why it's nice doing it at the school. We've got sort of built-in backup there to take care of that.
so this is all done through the town side.
as far as the hiring, collection of revenues and expenditures.
Right, that's all done on the town side. So will this all be visible then in the town budget going forward,
Correct,
right? Okay.
correct.
And the concept is that it will not be an expenditure on the town budget.
It's
It'll be
designed
at
to be
least flat,
self-sufficient.
self-sufficient and flat now.
And that was one of the reasons why, in my talking with the auditors, they do this in a number of towns.
Right,
They wanted it designated as its own separate fund.
right. So that you can track it.
Correct.
So as far as authorizing expenditures from it, who would be in charge of doing that in the short term?
We'll be doing POs and timesheets similar to what we do right now. In this case, Cindy Ford would sign them, then they would come to me for final signature, then I will submit it to the finance office.
Kind of like any other town employee
Yeah,
right now.
same
So a supervisor
protocol.
signs it, and then it goes to
I say me, the first selectman.
What's a PO?
purchase order.
Oh. Okay,
But that would be, a PO would be for if they had to purchase supplies or.
Yeah, we anticipate it right now. We also cleared it with the auditors. The school has agreed, we're gonna have an emergency kit there. We're gonna have snacks.
Okay,
The school is gonna put that money up front, bill back through a purchase order to the town, then we'll. reimburse.
basically to wait for the income side to come in.
Correct. Now, being that if we have more than 20 people applying, Mulatto is on the 18th, that money should start to be generated on the 19th. So it should be well on its way by the time the program starts.
Is there a deposit requirement of X amount of weeks or just,
We just talked about advance payments, we haven't talked about deposits,
so just advance payment as in like
month in advance.
a month in advance?
We also understand that there are families in town that have hardship. And we've also included in our sort of study group, for lack of a better name, we've included our social service, youth service director. And she feels that we have some resources to assist families if they can prove hardships.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, so what you're looking for, Bill, is a motion to authorize the Board of Selectmen and the town treasurer to establish an activity fund with associated revenue and expenditure line items titled Ashford After School Child Care Program.
Correct.
That,
Second,
good, I'll make the motion.
that's what that meant. Second.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, is that, as read, how's that?
Yeah.
And then I do have some comments, so don't vote on that.
okay, who
Yep.
seconded this? Did you?
Angie did.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Now it's open for discussion.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, and I made the motion. I think the program itself is a fantastic idea. I read through the requirements for somebody to start a daycare. The state of Connecticut has lost their mind. And I know I'm being recorded. It's absurd what's required. Even if you just wanna babysit your neighbor's kids on a regular basis. So, having said that though, and I've discussed this with Bill, but, I do have some reservations in the fact that the town is getting involved in childcare. And I also am concerned about moving forward, which is why I asked about the revenue versus expenditures. I'm concerned about it morphing into something that begins to cost the taxpayers money. But I think we need to give it a chance. The Board of Selectmen has worked very hard, I know, because I've been having meetings, to build this program, and I think the partnership with the school, the building belongs to the town anyway. I think it's a great idea, and I'm actually kind of hoping that, it becomes so popular that maybe it will, I don't want to say force, but it'll make somebody else look at possibly opening a bigger facility for those who need it. I know we only have a couple. like I said, I did do the research on what it would take. It's mind boggling. That's all I got.
All right, any other discussion? Angie?
Just wondering, is Christina gonna be, what do you call it? A regular member for somebody who's not here?
I already see her.
You did it already?
As soon as she can.
How did you do that?
He's like fast,
Right over my head.
fast, he's fast, man, he's on top. He's on top.
I run my meetings. I think, so I know we'll still need a separate motion to fund the account. I think that all still fits under action required for the after-school program. So I think we're still within the guidelines for a special meeting. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, folks.
Bill, do you have any idea how much? I know that came up when Cheryl was the treasurer about something, we had to leave a certain amount in an account at budget time.
I know we've got a couple of line items like volunteer incentive program.
But
Every year, I argue we should have more money. We put $10 in because it takes that. I don't know what the minimum is. I'm thinking we may just have to put $100 in there, but you know, I'll get that information from the treasurer.
So the motion would be a motion to authorize the Board of Selectmen to temporarily fund the Ashford after-school childcare program with town funds. Does that work for you?
That should do it.
Anybody want to make that motion?
can we set a value in that motion? Like not to exceed
3 million.
3 million?
What?
Did you win the lottery? Not tell?
I've been away a lot and you don't know.
Okay, could you restate the motion then?
I'll restate the motion. Do you have a dollar amount you have in mind that we can add to that?
I was gonna say $100.
I actually was gonna say 3,000, just to give you a pad.
That's fine.
Not to exceed 3,000.
Not to exceed 3,000. Just because I don't know what the auditor's gonna say, it's not a placeholder account, we created that for a specific purpose.
Well, I mean, if I can, Mr. Chairman, just, you know, for discussion purposes, what our intent is, and you've heard this at our meetings too, is if we do need money, for some reason there's a glitch, we're going to contribute, get approval from town meeting for ARPA funds.
Right.
This is obviously falls into their designation of municipal service. So that's kind of a backup support. My feeling is by the time this gets rolling, we're not even gonna need that, but.
I'm just saying, like, if King and King says you need to have, you know, $1,500, and I don't want you to have to come chase it back.
And
At the same time, if they say you need to put 10,000 in, I do want you to come chase
we're gonna be very frugal and not spend it unless it's necessitated.
All right, so I'll read this one more time. It'll be a motion to authorize the Board of Selectmen to temporarily fund the Ashford after-school child care program with town funds not to exceed $3,000.
So moved, as read.
Second.
Okay,
And the intent would be that you'll leave it up to the Board of Selectmen and the treasurer's discretion of where those funds come from.
It says town
It'll-
funds, so it's general fund.
All right,
I don't
fine,
think
thank
it's
you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The only question I have about the motion is, should it say, because I think you said the after-school program, should it say the newly created after-school activity fund? Because isn't that what we just created, a separate
Yeah.
fund?
I'll accept that.
Clearer the better.
That's right.
So to temporarily fund the Ashford After-School Child Care Program Activity Fund.
I think that's
Okay.
right.
I've got it all.
He's got it all. He can send it to you. Right?
well, I could listen to the recording too. It's just,
I'll read that back again to make sure that it'll be a friendly amendment.
Yep,
And-
yep.
So a motion to authorize the Board of Selectmen to temporarily fund the Ashford After School Child Care Program Activity Fund with town funds not to exceed $3,000. All you're okay with
Accept it as
that?
a friendly amendment.
All right, Angie, you're okay with
Amendment.
the friendly amendment?
Yeah, yeah,
So
oh, yeah,
that-
yeah, yeah,
that would
I
be-
second it.
That's the motion that was seconded. Any other further discussion?
What was wrong with that? What did you do? You made a
We
third
added two
motion?
words.
No,
We added two words. to the
amended
original motion.
amended the motion.
Oh, my God. Okay, so
It's
it was
okay.
Paul Varga and,
Mr.
DeSanto.
Santo, yep.
It was a friendly amendment, so we don't have to have a
It's
separate
not a
vote. It doesn't
separate
have to be done separately. So,
Or Val, confusing her.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
I,
those, any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Me, that's
Angie?
my role.
Wow.
Do we have a
I
second?
motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Jesse. Non-debatable motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I.
That motion is unanimous.
All right.
We're adjourned. Good
Thank
night,
you,
everyone.
folks.
That was
everybody.
great. Good job, you guys. That
Let's see how
sounds
much trouble I
fabulous.
got in the last 5 minutes.
Obviously, for
Okay,
Good night.
everybody.